Thank you, Marcelo, for those kind words. It's really incredible how much words can affect you. In fact, there are words I've been thinking about since my time at Singapore. Words you'll commonly hear in response to a request, which are can, or cannot, and a lot more cannots. It's one of our favorite colloquial phrases now to say amongst classmates, but when I arrived in Singapore in period 3, hearing cannot felt oddly nostalgic and invigorating. You see, my whole life has been a series of cannots, from you cannot be born without serious health conditions to you cannot make that joke in your speech. Hearing cannot is like hearing the song Jerusalema at INSEAD gatherings. It is often, yet energizing. After graduating from undergrad with a management degree, I was asked what I would do for work, because you cannot manage people immediately in your career. But I got a retail management job, and I managed 80 people. Later, I was told HR relies too much on local context, and you cannot work abroad. But I networked internationally, and I moved to Antwerp, Belgium, in an HR role a year later. Then when I was deep in the application process for INSEAD, I had a debilitating accident on an electric scooter, and I was told, you cannot apply this year. But instead, I showed up to the networking events without even being able to talk, just to be there. And finally, after getting into INSEAD amongst a raging pandemic, I was told, you cannot have the real MBA experience, and suggested to defer. Instead, I paid my deposit, joined 112 Telegram chats, and had the most real experience. We have all heard cannot, whether it be that we cannot have a worthwhile experience given the restrictions, or we cannot make a triple career jump. Yet the one thing that unites us, the class of 21J, is that we have believed we can. And for that, we've had the most real and extraordinary experience. Despite that, it is different. And there are many ways that attending an international MBA during a pandemic would make it different. But just like how our classmate Nigel likes to add extra spice to hot pot, we chose to add the extra spice to our experience to make it even more flavorful and exciting. We said we can to attending the 21J class when others said we cannot. We differentiated ourselves by being the class who did not defer, leading to 30% less classmates. And as we learned in prices and markets, when supply is down, prices go up, so naturally we became the most sought after class. In fact, we had 60 20Ds decide to defer to join us. And we thank them for adding to our nationalities and diversity, hitting 70 unique countries. And we quickly taught them to embrace our we can attitude to join us here today. We said we can to bringing more partners along thanks to remote working. And having more partners was great, till we realized just how cooler they were than the MBA students. As authors, musicians, sommeliers, influencers, entrepreneurs, and even a partner with the most impressive title of a stabilization officer for civil-military cooperation, we started to think maybe we should have said we cannot to having them to keep us looking good. For we knew we got into the #1 MBA program in the world. But what we quickly realized was that our partners, they got into the +1 version. We said we can to being entrepreneurs and attended startup boot camp on the weekends. We said we can to being consultants and did cases daily. We said we can to big tech, and we can to going the non-traditional route. In fact, we went so far as to elect a valedictorian who has had no company say we can hire her yet. Because we are just so inclusive in our career search. We said we can to transformational relationships, had a few lockdowns, a shorter P2, and the common goal of avoiding the woman who painfully administers the COVID test on Fontainebleau campus. And our relationships went deeper than any class before. One thing we do know for sure is that future reunions will only include tables of 8 because we now have an incredible affinity for the number 8 thanks to the Singapore restrictions earlier in the year. And we said we can to keeping the real world with us, ensuring we not only had the strategy version, but the implementation version as well. From coordinating last-minute exchange logistics after a new UK variant emerged, to having a classmate have a baby during our 4th period, to our diversity clubs giving voice and resources to creating a culture of gender respect. We, the class of 21J, we kept it very real. And we said we can to reflecting on who we were as individuals. In fact, many of us had precisely 14 days to self-reflect, courtesy of the Fontainebleau close contact or the Singapore stay-at-home notice. We said we can to embracing the 4 corners of our rooms, which we got eerily fond of. This may correlate to an increased use in psychological services, but no case study has come out yet to date to confirm. In fact, we said we can to embracing psychological services and even have classmates working on startups in the mental health space, realizing that this new normal of personal vulnerability is just normal. In fact, our class is unique not because we are the first class to decide to pursue an MBA during a pandemic, but because we are the first class to make vulnerability a necessary leadership skill for our future. And for that, we are extraordinary. For now, we can acknowledge that despite our 21J journey being different, our 21J journey was real. Our 21J journey was extraordinary. We can say thank you to our faculty and professors and alumni who adapted with us to preserve our real in-person learning experience. We can say thank you to our family and friends who supported us the last 10 months. And we promise to finally call you back now. And we can say thank you to our class of 21J for saying we cannot defer, but we can achieve the most real and extraordinary MBA in INSEAD history. Finally, now, we can or we cannot choose to say goodbye to all that we have been through. Yet despite the decision, I know, like my dear friend Winnie the Pooh once said, how lucky I am to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard. Congratulations, the class of 21J, and remember, we are always the class that can.
Thank you, Jen, for these powerful words and for giving us the perspective that we're actually generate an amazing class because we have believed what we could be. We'll now hand over to the Dean Awards payer for the moment we have worked so hard towards, our INSEAD diplomas. Congratulations, Class 21J.